Hi there, this is Charmaine Ironside, and I just wanted to quickly inspire you to approach your goals for your body in a new way. So I've discovered through a ton of personal experience, client experience, and also research that if you can figure out something you really like about yourself right now and focus on that and let that fuel you towards your fat loss or body goals, that is going to get you to your endpoint, your goal, way faster than if you only focus on what you hate about your body. So I'd love to share a quick story, and it takes place when I was pregnant. So when I was pregnant with Kennedy, I went to a course. It was called Sacred Pregnancy, and it was a little bit hippy-dippy for me, but it was a group of amazing women, and there's different exercises that were to help us sort of get ready for our most beautiful, empowered birth, the birth that we wanted, and, helping us to get ready to be a mom and different things like that. There's some different exercises. I had to dance and do some really uncomfortable things for me. But one of the exercises that I found the most challenging and the most life-changing was we were asked by the facilitators to think about our pregnant body and say the first word that came to mind when we thought of our pregnant body. And the way I remember it, we went around the circle. I happened to be last, and I think somebody said goddess and fertile and beautiful and strong. And then it came to my turn, and I thought, oh my gosh, I can't share what the word is. It's awful. But they said, please don't change your word. And so I just said, I broke into tears, and I said, F-A-T, fat. And I remember I just started sobbing and realized in that moment, sometimes takes a lifetime to learn things, but it takes a moment to make the realization that I had to change something about the way I talked to myself and the way I treated myself. I was treating myself like my own worst enemy, and I was saying the most awful things to myself. And of course there was lots of support from the group, but it was just like this internal realization, partly because of the way the other women talked to themselves so lovingly, but I knew I was hard on myself. I've always been hard on myself my whole life. And it didn't even matter what my body looked like. I was doing something amazing. I was, growing a child. I was doing my best, and I was actually staying quite active. I was taking care of my body. And yes, I'd put on extra pounds. But to call myself fat, and I'm sure I said much worse things to myself, was not serving me in any way. And so it was so interesting because I made a shift that day. And I stopped calling myself fat. I released this sort of expectation I'd put on myself. As the owner of a fitness studio, I felt like I should look a certain way. And I love it. Tony Robbins says, what does he say? Stop shoulding on yourself. And it's such a great line because we should on ourselves so much. And why should I do anything? The only reason is because I want to and I choose to. And so I let go of the expectations of how I should look owning a fitness studio, and that relieved a whole lot of pressure off me. And I actually gained a new appreciation and love for myself. And I had gotten a little out of control with my eating. And so it just shifted. I didn't want to do that anymore. I was accepting where I was. And I now was eating just to nourish my body and not to try to control something and try to prove someone wrong and have, I should look this way, but I'm going to do this instead. I stopped all those expectations. And I just loved myself and accepted where I was, and everything got so much easier. And my weight gain through the rest of my pregnancy was almost nothing, which is not necessarily, doesn't really matter, but it just really helped me because I was emotionally doing things with my eating, and it kind of relieved that. And so I realized that I needed to accept myself to be happy, first of all, but then after the pregnancy, I kept on loving myself, and I kept on speaking positively to myself. And I set goals to get to a fitter place, but not out of a place of calling myself fat and hating where I was. I set the goals out of acceptance and love. I thought, how amazing is it that I just birthed a child. And I looked in the mirror and I thought, you know what, Charmaine, you're beautiful. However, your back is starting to hurt and, you're really, it's taking you a lot longer to get up the stairs than before. So let's drop some of this weight. And so I started to set goals from this place of acceptance, but wanting more for myself. And ever since that day, and ever since that transformation, I've set goals from a place of love and positivity, and there's so much more power behind my goals now. Instead of saying you're fat and you have to change because you should change and focusing on the negative, I focus on what I like, and then I set goals for an even better version of myself. So start loving yourself. Give yourself a hug. Acceptance is huge. You just need to accept where you are, accept responsibility, love yourself, and then you can start to make really positive changes.